Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Sophia Edu Support. I am Anish Vijayan with Social Lessons. Today we are going to discuss about the power sharing, which is the first lesson of CBSE 10th Civics textbook. In this lesson, we are going to discuss about what is power sharing and why it is important, along with the example of two countries. We have two countries here with almost similar problem, but they handle the same problem in two different ways, and it led to different impact according to the way they dealt the issue. The first country is Belgium and the second country is Sri Lanka. Let us first discuss about the problem of these two countries. The first country is Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe. The size of Belgium is same as Indian state Haryana. Belgium is bordered with France, Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. The population of Belgium is little over than 1 crore, which is almost half of the population of Haryana. Belgium had a complex ethnic composition. Ethnic means the social divisions of people based on their shared culture or different group of people with different languages and culture. There were three ethnic groups of people living in Belgium, namely the Dutch, the French, and the German. The Dutch people were the majority. They constitute about 59% of the total population. The 59% Dutch-speaking people were living in the Flemish region, which is the northern part of Belgium. Another 40% population were the French-speaking people. They were living in the southern region, which is known as Wallonia region. Remaining 1% populations were the German-speaking people. Dutch-speaking people were the majority in the country. But when it comes to the capital city, Brussels, Dutch-speaking people were minority and the French-speaking people were the majority. Listen very carefully. In the entire country, the Dutch-speaking people are majority and French-speaking people were minority. But in Brussels, the capital city of Belgium, the composition of ethnicity reversed. Here, the French-speaking people were majority and the Dutch-speaking people became the minority. Even though the French-speaking people were minority in the country, they were rich and powerful. The reason that the French-speaking people got education very early, whereas the Dutch-speaking people got the education and economic development much later. This difference in educational and economic development between the Dutch and French-speaking people led to a tension between them, especially during 1950s and 1960s. The tension between these two communities was more acute in the capital city Brussels. Keeping this situation of Belgium in our mind, let us now look at Sri Lanka and the problem they had. Sri Lanka is an island nation which is located just few kilometers away from the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. Sri Lanka has about 2 crore people, which is about the same as the population of Haryana. Like other South Asian countries, Sri Lanka too has a diverse population. The problem what faced by the Belgium and Sri Lanka was similar. There were two major groups of people, the Sinhala speaking people and the Tamil speaking people, and a minor group of Christians who constitute both from Tamil and Sinhala. The Sinhala speaking people were the majority who constitute about 74% of the population, and the Tamil speaking people were about 18% and the Christians were about 7% of the population. Among the 18% of Tamil-speaking population, there were two subgroups of Tamil-speaking people. The first one is the native Tamil-speaking people who are called as Sri Lankan Tamils. They were about 13%. And the second subgroup is the Indian Tamils, who is about 5% of the total population, whose forefathers came to Sri Lanka from India as plantation workers during the colonial period and settled thereafter. If you look at this map, you can see the distribution of population in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated in the north and east side of the country. The majority, the Sinhala speaking people, dominating the major portion of the land. Most of the Sinhala speaking people were following Buddhism, and the Tamil speaking people were Hindus or Muslims. The ultra minority, Christians, constituted its members from both Tamils and Sinhalas. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community were the majority. Therefore, they could impose their ideas on the entire country. Now, let us look at what happened in both these countries, Belgium and Sri Lanka. We have seen the problem what these two countries were facing. The problem of different ethnic groups who share a different language and culture but living within the boundary of a country. In Belgium, if it is Dutch, French, and German language speaking people, in Sri Lanka, it is the Sinhala and Tamil speaking people. Both countries try to resolve this issue and find out a solution to this problem. Belgium adopted accommodation, whereas Sri Lanka adopted a system of majoritarianism. Let us now look one by one. As we were discussing about Sri Lanka, we are going to look first about Sri Lanka. The majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent nation in 1948. Right from the independence, the Sinhala community, being the majority in the country, sought to secure dominance over the government. As a result, Sri Lanka adopted a series of majoritarian measures to establish the supremacy of Sinhalas. Majoritarianism means that the majority rule and control the country without considering the will and needs of the minority. In 1956, an act passed in Sri Lanka that gave more power to the Sinhala people. This act recognized Sinhala as the only official language in Sri Lanka and disregarded the Tamil language. The act gave preference for Sinhala people. Only Sinhala applicants were considered in university positions and in government jobs. And the new constitution stipulated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. Under this, the religious feeling of the Tamils were completely denied. The government measures introduced one after another favored only the Sinhalas. This alienated the Tamil speaking people away from the Sinhalas. They felt that none of these major political parties, who led by the Buddhist and Sinhala leaders, were sensitive to their language and culture. Not only the political parties, even the constitution or the government policies denied equal political rights to the Tamils. Totally, the Tamils and their interests were ignored. As a result, the relation between the Sinhala and the Tamil community became more worse over the time. To protect their interest, the Tamil speaking people formed political parties and launched struggles for the recognition of Tamil as an official language. Demanded for regional autonomy for the areas where the Tamils are majority and equality of opportunity in education and government jobs. But the demands of the Tamils were repeatedly denied by the Sinhala majority community. By 1980s, political organizations were formed and demanded for an independent Tamil Elam or a state in the northern and eastern part of Sri Lanka. This situation of domination and subordination between Sri Lanka and the Tamils developed into a civil war. As a result, thousands of people, both from Sinhala and Tamils, have been killed, and many families were forced to leave the country as refugees. And many people lost their livelihood. And this civil war of Sri Lanka caused a terrible impact on their social, cultural, and economic life. And this civil war ended only in 2009. Accommodation in Belgium. Belgium also had almost same problem like Sri Lanka. But the Belgian leaders have taken a different method to deal with this problem. First of all, the leaders recognized the existence of regional differences and cultural diversities. Between 1970 and 1993, they amended the constitution 4 times to work out an arrangement for the coexistence of all these cultures. They evolved a plan that would enable everyone to live peacefully within the same country. The arrangement they made was different from other countries, and it was innovative arrangement. Let us see what was some of the elements of the Belgian model of arrangement. Number 1, the Belgians amended the constitution and prescribed that the central government of Belgium must have equal members of Dutch and French speaking ministers. And if there is a need of any special law, it needs the support of the majority from each linguistic group. Therefore, no single community can make decision by themselves. Number 2, the power of the central government reduced. Many powers of the central government taken from it and given to the state governments of the regions of Belgium, and declared that the state governments are not the subordinate to the central government. Number 3, Brussels, the capital city of Belgium, had a separate government apart from the central government or the state government. In this government of Brussels, both communities had equal representation. As the Dutch-speaking people accepted to include equal members from the French community to the central government, the French agreed to accept equal members of Dutch to the government of Brussels. Number 4. Apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government. This is called as the community government. Each language group can have their own community government. For example, French-speaking people can form French community government. Likewise, the Dutch and German-speaking people can form their own community government. People belonging to one language community is elected to their community government. And there was no need of including anyone else from other community into the community government of a particular language people. The community government have the power to look after the matters regarding their culture, education, and language related issues. Belgian model was complicated, but this arrangement worked well so far. This arrangement helped them to avoid all civic problems and possible majoritarian divisions. Because of this reason, when the European countries came together for making a union, chosen Brussels as the headquarters. So far we have seen two ways of arrangement to resolve the problems that faced by Belgium and Sri Lanka. What did you learn from these examples? In Belgium, the leaders realized the existence of different ethnicity and understood that the unity of the country is possible only by accepting and respecting the feeling and interest of these different communities. Such realization resulted in the mutual arrangement of power sharing. But Sri Lanka shows us a just opposite example. Here, the majority wanted to establish their dominance over others, which undermined the unity of the country and led the country to civil war. And this civil war distracted the social, cultural, and economic life of people. Focusing on these two examples, let us discuss the core content of this lesson. The first thing we are going to discuss is why power sharing is desirable. In the above examples of Belgium and Sri Lanka, we saw that how effectively Belgium resolved their problem of complex ethnicity by establishing the method of power sharing. Focusing on this, we are going to think that why we need power sharing. There are two reasons that make power sharing desirable. The first is the prudential reason, and the second is the moral reason. Now, let us look at the prudential reasons. The prudential reason for power sharing. The first point, the power sharing is good because it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict between social groups. Harmony between the social groups are very important, that the social conflict often leads to violence and political instability. And the second point in the prudential reason is that the power sharing is the good way to ensure the stability of political order. And the third reason is that the power sharing helps to avoid the tyranny of majority. Imposing the will of majority over the minority may look good for a short time, but in a long time it undermines the unity of the nation and becomes oppressive to the minorities. It often affects adversely to the majority and society as a whole. Now let us discuss the moral reason why the power sharing is good for democracy. The first reason is that the power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. In a democratic society, the power must be shared between the government or authorities and the people. Number two, the people have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. The governing system in a democratic country is not just decided by the rulers, rather, the people too have a role in deciding it. Number three, in a legitimate government, even the citizen also became the decision maker through participation. These prudential and the moral reason make democracy much desirable. While the prudential reason shows us that the power sharing will bring out better outcomes, the moral reason emphasizing on the very act of power sharing as valuable in a democratic system. Before we go on to discuss about the forms of power sharing, let us discuss about the example given here. It's an example about a person called Khalil. He is from the city of Beirut in Lebanon. He is in a dilemma that he wanted to be a politician, but the system in his country restricts him. His parents are from two different religions. Father was an Orthodox Christian and mother was a Sunni Muslim. After the end of the long civil war, the leaders of Lebanon made an arrangement that the president of the country from Maronite Catholic Christians and the prime minister must be a Sunni Muslim and deputy prime minister must be from Orthodox Christians and speaker must be from Shia Muslims. Both the Christian and Muslim populations are equal in the country and they respected this decision. Since this decision exists, being from a mixed religious family, Khalil's political ambition is in dilemma that he cannot assert to be in any top position. What would Khalil do? He wants election should be held in democratic way so that he too can become the part of it. Now let us move to the last section of this lesson, the forms of power sharing. The idea of power sharing is totally an opposite idea when we compare the monarchical and autocratic system. For a long time, it was believed that the power must be concentrated in one or group of persons only for the quick and effective decision making. But with the emergence of democracy, those ideas were changed. One basic principle of democracy is that the people are the source of all political powers. In a democracy, the people rule themselves through institution of self-government. Due respect is given to diverse group and views. Everyone have a voice in shaping the public policies. Therefore, it is important to distribute the power among the citizen. In modern democracy, power sharing arrangement can take many forms. Let us look some of those most common arrangements. Number 1, power is shared among different organs of the government such as the legislative, executive and judiciary. This system of power sharing is called as the horizontal distribution of power. This allows different organs of government at the same level exercise different powers. This separation ensures that no any organ exercise unlimited power. Each one checks the other, and this will result in balance of power among various institutions. This arrangement is also called as a system of checks and balance. Now let us move to the second point of forms of power sharing. Power can be shared among governments at different levels, such as central government or the federal government, regional or state government, and the local self-government. This system is called as the federal division of power. In some countries, there are no provincial or state governments like ours, but there too have different levels of government like the one we saw in the case of Belgium. The third form of power sharing is that the power shared among different social groups such as the religious and linguistic groups. The community government is an example of this type of governments. In some countries, there are some constitutional and legal arrangements to represent the participation of some weaker section and women in the administration. The reserved constituencies of election in India is an example, about which we have already studied in the last year lessons. This arrangement allows diverse social or religious or linguistic group to have their space in administration. If not included them in the administration, they may feel that they are alienated. This method used with the purpose of giving a fair share for the minority community in power. The fourth form of power sharing is that the power is shared between the political parties, pressure groups, and movements. In democracy, the citizens have the freedom to choose various power groups such as different political parties or movements. Such arrangements lead into the competition among different political parties. Such competition ensures that the power does not remain in one hand. In the long run, the power is shared among different political parties who are having different ideologies and social groups. In certain times, the power is shared directly by two political parties by forming an alliance to contest in election. If the alliance won in the election, they together form a coalition government and share the power within themselves. Even we have some interest groups such as traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers, and industrial workers. They too share the power through organizing themselves to a group or movement and influence the government in the decision making process. These are the different ways the power is shared in a democracy. This is the end of this lesson. Hope the video have given you a glimpse of the lesson. Express your like and dislike about this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching. We will see you with another video. Bye bye.